Hey there, expert entrepreneurs. Really happy to be coming at you today in Be the Expert Who Wrote the Book on It. Pardon me. So there is this idea out there in the entrepreneur world that you need to have a book, right? You go to any speaker convention, you go to any entrepreneur boot camp, rah-rah event, and what do you hear? You need a book. And it's true. You do need a book to prove your expertise. One of the things that you've heard me talk about and hear a whole lot is what my book has done for me, how I was able to get national media exposure. Why? Because of an expert book. So it is absolutely true that you need an expert book. The thing is, the problem is that most entrepreneurs are writing the wrong kind of book. And that's what we're going to talk about today is how can you write the right kind of book that's really going to showcase your expertise and get you where you want to be, which is to scale your business and to be seen as an expert in your field. So some of the things that I see out there, the advice that's given is don't worry about what kind of book you need, just a business card book will do. And so a business card book is, you know, usually about this big. It's a small book. It's quite thin, and the content is like an extended business card, right? So you're talking about, you know, I'm a firefighter, I put out fires, you know, here are some of the things that I've done, some of my successes in saving people's houses, and here are some of the trainings that I've done to make me an expert in the firefighting field. That would be the content of an expert book for a firefighter. The problem with that kind of book is that it's like that person that you meet at the cocktail party that you want to get away from as soon as possible, right? Me, 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 me. You don't want to have a conversation with that person because all they're doing is talking about themselves. That's not really interesting, right? It's not really engaging for someone to speak in that way. And I've heard, you know, at these entrepreneur conferences, the reasoning behind this business card book is, you know, somebody would throw away your business card, but they would never throw away a book. Well, guess what? The gigantic shelf of disposed of books at Goodwill would beg to differ with that. So it may be true that people won't throw a book in the garbage, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to get rid of it, that they're not going to not read it. There are lots of things that happen to books that mean that they're not being read. And think about that. Your time and effort isn't important if you're going to bother to write any kind of a book. It's because you've got this idea that someone is actually going to read it. So if they're not reading it, if they're just putting it in the Goodwill pile, then all of it's wasted. It's not doing anything for you. It's not leveraging your business. And it's certainly not demonstrating you as an expert. So let's get rid of that idea. The business card book is out the window. What's another trend that I see out there? The lazy man's way, and that is the quote compilation. I'm going to put together all my favorite quotes. It'll be super easy. Like I'll get things that are in the public domain, Abraham Lincoln, whatever, and it will be super easy. Guess what? Nobody cares about your favorite quotes. If you are an A-list star, then yes, you know, you can write your name on toilet paper and it's going to sell. But for the rest of us mere mortals with our feet on the ground, nobody cares about your favorite quotes. And if they want to go find inspiring quotes, they can go look them up on the internet, right? So, you know, your mom will like your quote book. It's not going to scale your business. It's not going to demonstrate you as an expert, right? Anybody can go out and get quotes by Ben Franklin and Abraham Lincoln. It's not going to help you. And, you know, the other trick that some people do there is they try to latch on to big influencers, you know, people like Gary Vaynerchuk or Seth Godin, you know, people who are very active right now, those influencers, to try to like get them to promote the book. It's not going to work. You're just going to look silly. So quote book, not the right answer. Here's another thing that I see people doing, the information dump book, right? So people think, oh, I need an expert book. That must mean that I'm just going to vomit onto the page everything that I know about this topic. Well, you know, most of us don't have encyclopedias on our shelf anymore, but we certainly know where to get information. And we live in the digital age, people. Like, information is readily available. If I want to know how to buy a house, I can go look it up. If I want to know how to bake a cake, I can go look it up. We have information everywhere. Your value in the marketplace, and this is important, your value in the marketplace isn't what you know. It's how you can help people. That's what's really important in the marketplace. And so if you just dump out everything you know about fighting fires or buying a house, nobody needs that. Nobody wants that. It's not going to promote you as an expert. And this one's interesting, right? Because that's counterintuitive. You think expert book, I must need to say everything that I know, but that's not the case. It's not true. I see a couple of you are watching. If that resonates with you, give me a yes or an amen, and let me know if you have questions in the chat. So we've talked about the kind of books that don't work, right? The quote book, the business card book, the information dump book. So some of the reasons why these books as a whole don't work, and this is a really important part, is that they're not tied to the goal of your business. So what does that mean? Well, let's talk about 2 real estate books that are coming out this year from Laurel Elite. The first book, this person came to me and said, you know, I really want to focus on first-time home buyers and the mistakes that they make, because that's really a niche that I'm really interested in. It's something that I love doing, is helping that first-time home buyer, especially those millennials who think that a house is out of reach for their budget. And I really want to show them how they can do that, because that's what I love to do in my profession. Another real estate agent came to me and said, you know, I hit the wall with burnout in my industry. And, you know, once that happened to me, I really saw how many real estate agents in my sphere had also hit the wall, and that our industry can be really destructive, that people, realtors make really poor lifestyle choices about their jobs. And I want to help those people. And in my next phase of my career, I want to create a speaking life for myself where I am talking about how people can have a little life-work balance as realtors. Both realtors, note, but 2 very different goals. Imagine if those 2 people wrote the same book. Would that work? No, that wouldn't work, right? And there are a lot of cookie cutter programs out there that just give you a template, you know, in 48 hours or 72 hours or 12 hours, whatever it is. You just kind of input your stuff and get it out into the world. Imagine the disservice that would be done to these 2 very different people who are in the same profession, right? So not having that cookie cutter template is really important. Really, instead, having your goals in mind and what you want this book to do for you. Those are 2 very different goals, and that's really important to note. So that's point number 1 on why these books don't work. Point number 2 is related to something that I've already said, and that's the me, me, me. Nobody wants to hear your me, me, me. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to get stuck on the plane or the train or the bus or whatever next to that person who wants to show you every single photo of their grandkids in their phone. We don't like that. We don't like to be treated that way. So why do you think that a book that's me, me, me is going to be something that people want to read? Like, when you are the next Mel Gibson or whatever, yeah, maybe that will work for you. Until then, we've got to create value in the marketplace. And how do we create value in the marketplace? Well, it's through conversation. Think about the moments at the cocktail party where you met someone and you're like, wow, that was really enjoyable. What happened? There was back and forth. The person asked you questions. The person was interested in you. That's how we create value in the marketplace, is through conversation, through a 2-sided dialogue rather than a monologue. At the end of the day, remember that people don't want to know the what. What they want to know is how it is that you can help them. And that's a really important distinction for your expert book. I'd love to chat with you about where you are in your business and how a book can help you to massively scale that business and get into the conversation in the marketplace and be seen as a real, true expert in your field because you've got the right kind of book that showcases your expertise. I've opened some time in my calendar for next week. I'll drop a link into the comments, and I look forward to chatting with you about scaling your business.